Today's video is sponsored by Sakuraco and TokyoTreat. More on them later. In Smash Ultimate, there's a total of 87 different items, more or less, each with their own distinct appearance and function. Again, more or less. And I figured it'd be fun to talk about each and every one just a little bit, with trivia ranging from useful tips on how to use them, to what their origins are, or any other random fact in between. Admittedly, for some of these items I kinda had to reach for something, but most of them have a lot to talk about. Some already covered on the channel, but a lot new. Today's video will be covering the first 2 rows of them from the training mode menu, with the rest covered in future videos. Also, sorry in advance for my voice, I'm currently recovering from a bit of a cold, but that's not going to stop me from talking about stupid random stuff. So let's start out with the Smash Ball. I've covered stuff about Final Smashes more than enough on the channel by now, so I'm going to focus on the item itself. In training mode, every other spawn of the Smash Ball rotates it between its usual floating form and its soccer ball-esque counterpart. And in this setting, it has noticeably less health than in a real game, likely to make testing a bit easier. But finding its precise HP pool is actually a bit weird. For example, 3 jabs as Toon Link is able to break it just fine, the equivalent of 7.2%. However, the first hit of the short hop neutral air does not break it, despite dealing more percent at 8.6. The reason I found is likely due to the passage of time. For example, if I spawn it in, wait a few seconds, and then use the neutral air, the ball actually breaks. And on the flip side, if I use 3 jabs but really quickly, it doesn't break. It's likely the ball's max HP starts out somewhere around 12%, given that Toon Link's strong boomerang throw doesn't destroy instantly, despite dealing 11.5%, yet Young Link's down tilt does, which deals 12%. So it's a pretty safe bet. And then as you keep waiting longer and longer, it takes fewer and fewer attacks to destroy it, capping out at 1 Toon Link jab. It never got destroyed from a Pichu jab, which is 1.4%, so my guess is that the max HP goes down to 2% after a little while. This all translates to a Smash Ball in a real match too. For example, with a fully still short hop nair from Young Link, each hit does 4%, and it takes 6 total to break the Smash Ball, so 24%, which took a bit of time to do. However, with 2 non-still full hop up airs and less time, it did not break the Smash Ball, despite that being a cumulative 29% or so. So once again, it heavily implies that the Smash Ball is undergoing a max HP decay. And yes, scaling does affect damage dealt to Smash Balls, which we can test by using Toon Link's jab again, which used to break the Smash Ball in one hit after waiting a while, but when it staled to do 1.9%, it no longer does it. Given this decay factor, it's hard to get specific numbers for its total health at all, but using Ganondorf we can get an idea of its highest max HP, kinda. When it initially spawns in, if it eats a turnaround Warlock Punch, it gets broken. But a normal Warlock Punch does not break it under a similar time frame. So it breaks at 38%, but not 31%. Given how time sensitive the test is, I'm happy saying that the range of its initial max HP is just somewhere around there, you know? So under 40 but over 31, that's fine. It's like not particularly concrete, but I still find it really interesting to know that the mechanics work like this to begin with. When you pick up an assist trophy, you're forced into this specific animation where you lift it up and spawn in whatever's inside. Yes, forced into it. If you're in the air, you can move around and use aerials freely, but once you land, you have to undergo all these frames of this animation, essentially putting a bunch of landing lag on anyone. What this means is that, if someone has a weak enough attack, they can hit you to reset the animation over and over and over again, and you really can't do anything about it other than hope that somehow one of these hits forces you to drop the assist trophy. Otherwise, you're basically helpless, as the lag between getting hit and starting the animation again is enough to kinda act like a jab lock in past games, just with no limit. This is pretty hard to do when someone picks up an assist trophy from the ground, as there's not much time before the assist actually spawns in, and of course the effectiveness of this pseudo jab block varies from character to character, but if you see someone in the air with an assist trophy in hand, you can basically just consider it a free punish. In training mode, when you choose a random Pokemon to spawn in, you can tell almost immediately which Pokemon it is by seeing which portrait darkens, as 2 of the same Pokemon cannot be in play at once. Also, despite the fact that the Master Ball is a more powerful and rare version, it still has the chance to spawn in a completely useless Pokemon as a joke. That's right, Mew. Before we move on to more items, I'd like to thank today's video sponsors, Sakuraco and TokyoTreat. Sakuraco and TokyoTreat are a snack box service that lets you experience Japan from the comfort of your own home in the form of yummy snacks. Sakuraco is a Japanese artisan snack box, which supports local snack makers across Japan, with each box having 20 authentic goodies, including Japanese teas and a special piece of tableware. This month's theme is New Year's in Japan, celebrating Oshogatsu, the Japanese New Year, with delightful snacks like this New Year's senbei, or this matcha dorayaki, which was absolutely delicious. It's like one of my favorite types of Japanese treats, all of which pairs very well with the yuzu sencha matcha tea. And of course you have this Nishijin Ori coaster, which I'll be more than happy to add to my collection. I actually really need coasters. TokyoTreat, on the other hand, is a fun and exclusive Japanese snack box filled with limited edition Kit Kats, specialty chips, and other seasonal treats that are only available in Japan for limited times. This month's theme is also New Year's in Japan, filling the box with plenty of New Year's flavors, such as the unique strawberry chocolate cake flavor of Kit Kat, Hokkaido smoked butter chips, or what caught my eye the most was the miso seafood cutlet, which tasted really savory and had a slight crunch that did a better job of mimicking fried food than I'd expect out of a snack. It was really delicious. And if you're ever not sure what something is, each box has a booklet that goes over the details and history of the snacks featured within, and gives details about each item, which includes allergens, which is really useful. I'm always really excited to see what sort of unique snacks these boxes offer, and I think you or your family or friends would have a great time with them too. So if you're interested, please click the link in the description and use my code PKBeats to get $5 off your first box. That's PKBeats for $5 off your first box. And thank you Sakuraco and TokyoTreat for sponsoring today's video. Dragoon pieces are actually completely incompatible with Smash Balls. If some pieces are on stage already and you spawn in a Smash Ball, the pieces disappear, and if all 3 pieces are in play, a Smash Ball just won't be able to be spawned in. It's in this sense that the longer people have the 3 pieces strewn amongst themselves, the longer it'll take before a Smash Ball is able to appear. Well, in theory, at least. When I tried to test things out to get footage, I had Smash Balls turned on at the same time as Dragoon pieces, and the Dragoon pieces never spawned in despite the Smash Ball spawning in several times after like 15 minutes, so it's possible the Smash Ball has some higher priority over it. But then again, in a later test with the Daybreak pieces, I went like 20 minutes without a single piece spawning in despite the Daybreak being the only item turned on, so I don't know, the game's just kinda dumb. However, despite this compatibility issue, the parts can still spawn even when the Final Smash meter is in use. But this won't lead to the game breaking or anything, as they've thought this one through a little bit. If the final part is spawned in and someone fills the meter, that part goes away. And if someone activates the Dragoon and then someone's meter fills, they still won't be able to use their Final Smash until the Dragoon is over with. It's a little bit jarring, but it does circumvent any issues. This is all obviously the case with the Daybreak as well, but I have a unique fact for that one. When characters that usually hold weapons use the Daybreak, you'll notice that those weapons disappear when they're holding the gun. Something that usually doesn't happen when they hold a heavy object like a crate or whatever else. Though Marth has a neat detail in that he actually sheathes his sword for the animation, instead of it just disappearing, which is pretty cool. Though for most characters the weapon just goes away. The funniest effect is from King Dedede, as seeing him without his big ol' hammer is really cursed and kind of embarrassing for him. Plus, for their get-up attacks, the trail of their weapon will still play out, but the weapon will not be there. You might think that Robin also falls into this role, with their 11 sword being gone, but it's actually not gone. It'll still appear in other animations, like hit stun or when you shoot the gun, so it's just being hidden within the Daybreak when you're just holding it, I guess. There are 3 types of crate visuals available in the game, those being standard, presents, and futuristic. These affect the crates, rolling crates, and barrels. The futuristic kind are used in 13 stages, the presents in 27, and the standard kind are used in a whopping 74, and actually technically more than that. It's very lopsided, and if you look at the full list of stages for each type, you could probably argue that the present or futuristic variant could be used in place of a normal one for some, but that's just how it is. Additionally, any Omega and Battlefield variants will also just default to the normal crate, regardless of which stage it's on. And the crates that spawn on custom stages are also just normal. It's especially compelling here given that the background is from Find Me, which normally uses the present style, but because it's a custom stage, it's just normal. Rolling crates are incredibly versatile for getting dumb nonsense to happen given how you can put essentially anything on them. Now normally if you try to throw an item onto it, like a Pokéball, it'll just knock the crate away, which is sad and pointless, but by standing on top of it and just throwing it down, whatever you spawn will land on top instead. This doesn't work for everything, but it does for a lot. And obviously not just assists, but other items, like the chaotic bumper and rolling crate combo, or the portable pitfall, or whatever else you might think. And this is all on top of the basic mobility that you can gain from them, which is just amazing. Like, do not sleep on these things, they are powerful. To a lot of people, the concept of the party ball may seem pretty uniquely Smash Bros, but it's actually based on a real thing called a kusudama, which is what its name is in Japanese. The general term means a lot, but nowadays more often refers to a waritama, which is the type to split in half and rain down things like confetti and streamers and all that fun stuff. They're usually used as a form of celebration, and I guess a decent equivalent for folks in my audience would be like a combination of a piñata and a party popper. Not to be confused with a party pooper. As an item itself, there's not really much to say about it other than that it has a unique high chance to either spit out only food items or only bob-ombs. Not much of a fun celebration there. Anyone with a keen eye may notice that the destruction animation for the barrel feels a little off. The reason would be, if we pause and look carefully, the smash symbol here is really big, despite the fact that the symbol on the barrel is really small. This is because the barrel is borrowing its destruction animation from the crate, where that symbol size fits, but doesn't work quite well with the barrel. We've gone over this on the channel before, and my video talking about it is actually cited on the wiki, just with a little typo in the title. Also, not a barrel specific thing, but I guess I could just mention it here, but when Donkey Kong is carrying a heavy item, he actually gains some super armor, much like his cargo throw, which I thought was a really cool touch. The capsule is another item that feels pretty specific to Smash, or rather just generic enough to not be notable, but is very likely to be based around gashapon, or gachapon, the capsule toys from vending machines that are the basis for the term gacha. So yes, with their inclusion in Smash, that means the game has elements of gacha in it, and thus gambling, and thus is a perfectly good reason why I'm currently $56,000 in debt. I also don't have much to say about this specifically, so I'll just mention that the specific form of gacha you're doing with this item also includes a 12.5% chance for it to just explode, like a lot of other container items do. So yeah, have fun gambling, I guess. While on the surface the grass is lumped together with other containers, there's a handful of very unique things about it. Some obvious ones are that if you pull out a piece of equipment or an effect, it'll automatically be equipped to you, and any food items you pull out will be automatically eaten. But a more niche one is that there are certain items that simply cannot spawn from this. Some good examples are the Freezy and the Pitfall. Here in this match, the only items turned on are those two and the containers, and while all the others are having no trouble spitting them out, the grass always leaves us empty-handed. I'm not entirely sure what it is about them that would cause this exception. Perhaps the Freezy would be because of something with its natural movement, and maybe the Pitfall is just a cheeky reference to Animal Crossing, in that it creates a buried spot rather than a plant, like the opposite, you know? But the grass is a reference to Super Mario 2, not Animal Crossing's weeds, so I don't know, I'll let you decide. The Blast Box has a very simple but very useful property in that any attack that deals fire type damage will instantly set it off, no matter the power. I've used it a ton for tests and trying to figure out what moves or what effects, my favorite example being Simon and Richter, where Simon's Holy Water will cause the box to explode instantly, but Richter's will have no such effect. This is because Richter's Holy Water has the Aura property instead, though the mechanics aren't the same as Lucario's Aura. And if you're wondering about how much damage it takes to detonate this without the fire effect, the way it works is that after taking around 16%, it starts flashing, in which case it'll explode after a few seconds. However, if it takes around 30% or higher, it'll just explode instantly. But if I do, say, 26%, then it'll start flashing, but have much less time until the explosion than when I dealt 16%. So it all kinda stacks up. While the bomber is walking around, if it gets close to a ledge, it has a chance to fall off of it, exploding when it hits the ground. The key note there being when it hits the ground. I was wondering how exactly this mechanic worked, and in testing discovered that the bomber is actually able to go through portals and is affected by wind, so I just kinda created this little testing chamber for them. And sure enough, if a bomber falls off the ledge into a portal, it can keep falling forever. Its explosion is triggered by hitting the ground, so by doing this we can create an army of eternally falling bombs. This behavior is different from a bomber that just spawned into a portal, as in those cases they despawn after a while, but these guys never go anywhere. The max I was able to reach was 10 total bombers, as after that point they just stopped spawning entirely, which leaves only one thing to do. The name for the fake Smash Ball in Japanese is the Smash Bomb. This is actually some pretty clever wordplay, given that the word for Smash Ball is written out like this. The two only differ by the ending kana. So the idea is that you have a misleading, similar looking word for the item that's meant to be misleading. Though the name Fake Smash Ball in English does still work perfectly fine, as it uses the same logic as the fake item box in Mario Kart, which is a very similar concept for the item and is likely where the inspiration came from. Also, it seems like the logic of how the fake Smash Ball's max HP works is the same as the regular Smash Ball, decaying over time and all of that. And just as a quick bonus tip, you can tell the difference between the normal and the fake Smash Ball when it's in the soccer ball-like state by the pitch of its sound when it lands. And that's where I'll leave things for today. Obviously we have way more items to cover and I already have facts prepared for basically everything else, so if you want to see this continue, be sure to leave a like and let me know down in the comments. Originally I was going to plan for this all to be one video, maybe a two-parter at most, but at the current rate it's definitely looking like this will be a longer mini-series. Though I guess that'll make for a nice supercut at some point, plus this will be good stuff to reformat for shorts. And yeah, I've actually been really happy with that side of my channel too, by the way. Even if basically all of the content is just stuff from my long form videos just condensed, I've been rewriting basically every script and occasionally doing whole new editing to make it look good, so I'm still happy with how it's been going. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be keeping up the daily uploads, but at the very least I hope to maintain it for a while. And if nothing else, I'd like to keep uploading frequently at the very least. Of course, it's been a bit more work than I anticipated, so I'm not doing the end of the year Q&A like I usually do, but maybe I can still do one later if there's like any interest. But with all that, I'd like to give another shout out to Sakuraco and TokyoTreat for sponsoring today's video. Again, you can use my links down below to get your own boxes for $5 off. Using my link will really help me out. And I'd also like to thank Raighne, So700, Burbo, and all my other patrons for their consistent and awesome support. Stay casual, and I'll see y'all in 2025.